What movie traumatized you as a kid? The Brave Little Toaster. The whole movie was like a fever dream, but the AC scene that shit stuck with me and might have affected who I am today. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Loved the first one so much, and then this one was with this guy ripping out people's hearts with his bare hand skull. Dark Crystal. Poltergeist. My buddy and I lied to our parents and snuck into this when it was in theaters. Scared the ever-lovin' shit out of both of us. The Tree. The Clown Doll. The Mirror Scene. That night we had a sleepover and just laid there shivering until dawn. The Blair Witch Project. I lived in a neighborhood where the houses were pretty spread out. I watched it at a friend's and had to run back to my parents' house at night. That 1/2 mile was the scariest in my life. E.T. The Original Exorcist. Never-ending story. The Ring. Dad, why did you let a 5-year-old watch this with you? Event Horizon. Arachnophobia. It. The old TV version. I happened to glance one scene of it while getting out of bed for a glass of water. Had a fear of shower drains that lasted a good couple years. Then a couple more of more low-key unease. Jaws. I was afraid to swim in the ocean for years. Return to Oz. Signs. Mars Attacks. Bridge to Terabithia. It was supposed to be a family, fantasy movie. Bambi. Ol. Yeller. Turner and Hooch. WTF is up with Disney killing animals? Watership Down. The Sixth Sense. Candyman. I had a hard time falling asleep for days after watching that. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Watership Down. The Last Unicorn. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Darkness Falls. Bonus. The Grudge. The Ring. Watcher in the Woods. The Black Hole. Large Marge for sure. Definitely Peanut Butter Conspiracy. Yup. Return to Oz. Pet Sematary and Salem's Lot. Fire in the Sky. Accidentally started watching right when things got really weird. Had on and off nightmares for 5 years after that. Jaws. I was fine with most of it. Rewatched it even. It's still one of my favorite movies. But for years I had to skip the scene where Quint talks about the Indianapolis because it was both a worse than anything depicted in the movie b. based on truth. So it gave me nightmares. Pinocchio. You know what scene? Gremlins. Still have nightmares and I'm 4EFFING5. The Witch's Face with Peeking Eye. Nightmare on Elm Street. Arachnophobia gave me arachnophobia. I loved Toy Story as a kid. I literally watched it every day. I can now recite most of the lines when I watch it with my kid. Anyways, one night when I was about 7, I snuck out of my room and into the lounge room to turn the TV on. It was pitch black so I couldn't find the remote. Just pushed the button on the TV and stood there with my finger on the button in case my parents woke and I could make a quick getaway. What movie came onto the TV, you ask? The original Chucky movie. I just froze because I knew if I pressed the power button, the room would go dark again, so I just watched. I don't know how long I was standing there with my finger on the power button in frozen terror. But I watched a few gruesome murders from this doll. My dad eventually came and got me and I burst into tears when he picked me up. When he put me to bed, I got him to help me put all my Toy Story toys inside my toy box and put something really heavy on the lid. Haha. I had repeat nightmares about Chucky for a few years after that. My stepdad was a drug addict who just watched whatever he wanted regardless of whether or not there were children present. I saw A Clockwork Orange when I was 6. And never again. Twister. Whoever thought it was a good idea to show this to a bunch of kids because they were learning about the weather should be fired. Made me terrified of even the calmest of storms for years, thinking every storm would spawn a tornado right above my house. My girl. I am terrified of bees now. The Ring. I couldn't sleep close to a TV for years. War of the Worlds. Children of the Corn. Then I also watched some horror that involved a bowl of raisins, then the raisins turned out to be spiders and that left me freaked out, and I've still not eaten any raisins. That must have been 38 years ago and still clear as if I watched it today. Going to give away my age here. When I was 6, we lived on a naval base with a theater that was free for personnel. Guys at the box office got to recognize all the kids, so we often went by ourselves. One day a friend and I saw The Mummy. I woke up screaming every night for a month. Needless to say, my parents were less than pleased, and I was forbidden to go alone thereafter. A few years ago, I decided to try to track down exactly which Mummy movie I'd seen, assuming for all those years it was probably one of the early Hammers. Wrong. To my chagrin, I realized it could only have been Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. Good grief.